things. Here we go. So, Jake, last week
What's up
we
with
were
it?
talking towards the end of the podcast,
And
and
you cut me off. You said that we was getting too much into our sauce,
I
that we
know.
needed to wait.
No, no, what it was, man, is you just like we're getting into it, and you're like, hey, man, I gotta go, and like as soon as you said you gotta go, you started getting into all this like gold, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You gotta do this the right way. So like I had to slow you
Yeah.
down. I had to slow you down, and we had to come back to this, revisit it today, and we're gonna get it. So let's go. So today we're gonna be talking about the importance of investing in cash flow and looking at cash flow, right? And I know that's something you are like super passionate about, something I'm super passionate about. And so from that perspective, I'd love like because we both talk about it in a little bit of different way, but we like always end up in the same place, which is really fun, right?
Yes.
So what I'd love to do is have you kind of start kind of where you were, if you remember where you were last week, just talking about like why, first of all, let me do this. Why do you think investing for cash flow is so important compared to kind of the way that people are trained traditionally? Go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, accumulate assets, all that garbage. Like, talk to me.
So if I can go scriptural for a little bit, it'll bring more context to what I want to.
Let's go.
Okay. So the best example I can give are the three servants and the master. The master leaves, this is in scripture. The master leaves and gives one of the servants 5 talents. He gives the second servant 3 talents, and he gives the first servant 1 talent. And if we were to look it up, I want to be exact about how much money that actually is. So how much does a talent weigh in a biblical talent in today's times would be $30,000 per talent.
Okay.
So $30,000. So each talent was technically $30,000.
Okay.
So he gave the first servant, the master did. This is a representation of God giving money, resources to a servant, $150,000.
Okay.
The second servant got 90,000, and the first servant got 30,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the third servant, they got the $150,000, doubled their money to 300,000. The second servant went from 90,000 to 180,000. But the first servant does what most of us do. People who don't have a plan, people who don't know exactly what they want to do with their finances, they're scared crapless. They don't really know how to multiply, how to grow. They don't have any developmental skills. Guess what they do? They hoard their money.
Yep.
They put it in a savings account. They hide it away. They put it in a safe. They do nothing with it because they're scared to lose it.
Backyard, under the mattress.
That's right. And what did the master do to the servant that hid the money that didn't multiply it?
Chastised him.
He chastised him and took it away.
Mm-hmm.
Which is typically what happens to people who hoard money or accumulate retirement money long term. It gets taken away. Mm-hmm. Government and taxes, and then you in usury because you don't know what to do with it. You're just like rationing it out until you pass away, only for it to run out before you pass away. It happens every
inflation.
Time.
If you take that 30 grand, and you put it under your mattress for 50 years and it just sits there, it's going to lose.
It's not 30 grand no more.
No. Yeah. It's probably 20% the value that it was when you first started.
That's a fact. So when I say that, and there are some that say that one talent was even worth 400,000.
Mm.
So that means that 5 talents would have been closer to $2 million back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so what happens is a lot of people that raise their money, or they save their money, or they store their cash for retirement on a rainy day, but they never learn cash flow creation strategies. When you retire from that A1 day one job or business that you stored your capital from, and then you retire, you're living on the accumulation, not on the cash flow. And anytime you live on the accumulation and not the cash flow, you're subjected to the tax flow. So if I live on accumulation, not the cash flow, I'm subjected to whatever the taxes are of that day and time. But I'm also subjected to the naivety of my own understanding, which will cause me to make a bunch of mistakes that I cannot afford. However, the person who's more dedicated to the cash flow and not the accumulation, you're going to build a system to where you can make a mistake every month. You can blow every dime. You can blow every dime for 10 months and still get the same amount of money every single month to start over again. And what I thought about, Chris, was what makes more sense? Accumulation of $1 million to where if you blow it, that's it. Or accumulation of 100,000 a month, that if you blow it 1 month, it comes back the next month for you to start over again. I chose cash flow, not accumulation.
Amen. I love it, man. Well, so talk to me. One of the things I'm really big on is psychology, right? Like I love thinking about like, why do we, do what we do as human beings, and like the psychology of money, right? And when we think about it like that, it's money. Money is not math. Like a lot of people look at money and investing, and they look at it on a spreadsheet, and they think like, why would I do this when I could do that? Like, why would I put money here when it earns a certain rate of return, when I could go invest in the S&P and get 8% for whatever time, and it'll destroy whatever asset you're talking about, but the bottom line is money and life doesn't exist on a spreadsheet, and the math and money are completely different. Right. And the
no, Chris, you got to say that again. You can't run past that. Math and money. Say that again. Math and money. What?
Math and money are completely different. They're two totally separate things. They are.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But it's true. And why is that? Right? Like, I mean, I just said it, but like, why is it that that's the case? Is because we don't make decisions with our money based on a spreadsheet, based on logic. Everybody, I don't care who you are, it's your psychology, it's your emotion. We make these decisions emotionally, and it's our understanding, it's our psychology that goes into our results and our behavior and our relationship with money. And that's ultimately what it is. So you can show me the math of everything, and I'm going to show you why it doesn't matter. You know? What do you think?
Bro. I literally just put. I'm literally typing what you're saying in the notes. Like, so if you see this in a tweet, dog, just know that I stole it from you and you're getting no credit.
Okay, perfect. So,
bro, math and money are two different equations.
Yeah,
bro.
That's it. Are we done with the podcast today? Is that it?
Bro, we can sit and preach about just that piece
for days, man.
For days.
Yeah.
You said people don't make decisions on spreadsheets.
No, they don't. And so
they just budget on spreadsheets. So you correct your decisions, or you measure your decisions on a spreadsheet, but you judge your decision in cash.
Totally. Your money is just a scoreboard. Fair enough?
Yes.
Like, that's it. And so like, what we need to do, and this is why, like what I just said, like this is why I always
Wow.
say, if you're struggling with money, it's because your money and how you're handling it is not in alignment with your values and your beliefs and your life's objectives, period.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to align what you're doing with your money with your values, your beliefs, your psychology, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you have to understand the human behavior side of it, the emotional side of all this stuff. Because listen, I mean, you're married, I'm married, I got kids, you got kids. I think most people
Yep.
listening probably are. Have you
Yep.
ever like made a plan with your money and spreadsheeted it out and had a budget and done it all, and then all of a sudden had your wife come to you and say, "Hey, baby, I want to do this. I need this. I need this." Like money, like emotionally was all of a sudden getting spent, whether it was like had benefit or not. But all of a sudden, like, I don't know about you, but I have a real hard time saying no to my wife, you know, when she's in that mode, you know, and it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if I'm tempted to say no, she's going to find a way to get me to say yes, if you know what I mean. Like, so it's like, like, it is what it is, right? Like, so on a spreadsheet, I've got it all planned out, but then emotion comes into it that messes up the whole plan. You got to realize you got to like line things up. You're laughing. So it's, you know, we are where we are. Like we got to align our money with values, with our beliefs. And here's the deal. This is why I think cash flow is so important, right? Because like, think about psychologically. I'm a big believer, and I say this on a lot of my videos, and this is why I say it. And I think a lot of times, you know how I do it. I like just I like drop a statement and I skate right past it because
Facts.
I'm moving 1,000 miles an hour. But like the whole idea, and I want everybody to resonate with this, that your brain, your emotions, your mind, your conscience is only going to allow you to put 100% of effort into whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's money. I don't care if it's your marriage. I don't care if it's your parenting. I don't care if it's your business. But if you don't believe with 100% certainty that you can be successful, your spirit, you're not going to be able to put 100% of effort into it. It's just psychologically impossible.
That's right.
Right? And so from that perspective, if we look at a spreadsheet, I could spreadsheet it out all day and say, "Hey, Jake, listen, you make 100 grand a year, hypothetically, right? You make 100 grand a year. You need to save money. Let's say you need to save 10% per year. But based on inflation, based on the growth of your money and all this stuff and how much money you're going to need to have 30 years from now to maintain your standard of living, because you don't want to go backwards, do you?
That's right.
So just to maintain the standard of living, you're going to need to have almost $5 million in an account, saving $10,000 a year in 30 years. Do you believe that's possible? Saving, accumulating.
Based on passive, just leaving my money in a market without knowing the fund managers and initiatives and being like knee deep in my investment strategies? No.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
let's just say you're doing what everybody says to do. Put your money in the S&P and ride it out. It's going to be up, it's going to be down, but you're going to make 8%. You're going to be good to go, right? Like that's what they said. And so even if you took about like reinvesting the dividends and stuff of that nature, if you do it that way, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's going to win." You don't realize like the detriment, that inflation has on the equation. You don't realize the impact that the managed money fees have on the equation. You don't realize, the negative years when you lose $1. Not only, if I have, the average versus actual rate of return, right? Like if I have $100,000 in a savings account and I lose 20%, now I got $80,000. I got to earn.
That's right.
I got to earn 25% just to get back to
right.
even. Right. So people don't realize, once again, math and money are different. I can't lose 20% and then gain 20% and be even. It's not the same thing. And so
if you lose 20, you got to gain 40 to be even.
It's gross, right? Like, so when you look at that, and then you take inflation into consideration, all these things, you realize that, man, I'm fighting a losing battle. And I think subconsciously most people realize, or even if you don't realize it, and I believe this is the crux of the financial crisis in the United States, around the world, the crux of the savings crisis in the United States, the investment crisis in the United States, is the fact that people intuitively know, even though they don't know why, they can't put their finger on it, they couldn't articulate it, they can't explain it, but they know that, crap, man, like, I'm going to save money, I'm going to invest money, I'm going to put money in a 401k, an IRA, a Roth, this or that, whatever. And they don't believe that that's going to get them where they want to go. And that is why they're not saving enough. Because why am I going to delay gratification, put money in an account, do all these things, and then ultimately get to the end of the rainbow and there's no pot of gold?
That's a fact. For a hope.
For a hope, right?
For a hope.
So it makes no sense. Why do that, right? And so people don't. And this is why, and the reason for that is because, Jake, if you're making $100,000, right? And all of a sudden I say, Jake, you need to save $10,000 a year. And over those next 30 years, that means you're saving, that money, and you're supposed to get to $5 million, and that's going to get you where you want to go. In your mind, subconsciously, even if you know that number is 5 million, you've never, once again, hypothetically, you've never seen 5 million. You don't know what it feels like.
Correct.
You don't know what it would be like to look at an account with $5 million in it. Your subconscious goes, you've never done that. Why the heck do you think you're going to, be able to do that now?
That's right.
And but what do we do? What can we do? Like, subconsciously, you can trick your brain into being successful, into believing, into putting yourself into a position where you can go out and do it by investing for cash flow. Because now hey, I make $100,000 a year. That's $8,333 a month.
That's right.
33 cents. But like, if that, so if I say, hey, Jake, let's start working at investing for cash flow to replace your $8,333.33, right? And maybe year one, you get $200 a month in cash, or a month in cash flow. And maybe year two, you're at 500, maybe year three, maybe it takes you 15 years, 20 years to get to the place where you've replaced your income from a cash flow investing perspective. I would argue that's going to be twice as fast minimally that you're going to do it the other way. And then you're in more control of it. But more importantly, you actually believe you can do it. Why? Because you know what $8,333 feels like. You've seen it go through your life. Your subconscious believes you can do it. And now, because of that, you're actually going to implement and execute a plan and stick to it.
That's right.
You can succeed. What do you think?
Here's the deal. It's easier for a person to. It's easier for a person, Chris, to see what they make on a monthly basis, them accomplishing that as a cash flow reservoir every month, than for them to see that they got 10 million in their bank account.
Totally.
So for me, quite frankly, a lot of people don't have saving issues or budgeting issues. We got cash flow issues. And what I mean by cash flow issues, I mean whatever I am earning a month from my active work, I want to make from my passive work. So that when I decide to retire, and listen, Chris, we can't even legitimately, if I were to be honest, we couldn't even really legitimately calculate. I know this is going to be a financial saying that a lot of people, financial advisors, are going to get mad about. So let me look around the room to make sure that I don't have anyone that's a financial advisor in here. Do we have any financial advisors in here? Okay, no, my team said no. You can't even truly ethically calculate inflation.
No.
Because no one knows. We go on an average from a backdated year.
It's worse than that, man.
Status. You cannot equate what potential inflation may be. However, if I were to generate a business that produces me $10,000 a month, or an investment that pays me $10,000 a month, Chris, it does not matter what inflation is. it's going to be $10,000 a month based on that year's standards of $10,000 a month.
And there's an
So the
inflation.
only way you can truly actually protect your capital is to protect your capital by investing in a vehicle that can actually produce you that monthly revenue you look for on a monthly basis, despite what the market is saying. I know it's going to be a lot of like, it's the truth though.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and let me go a step deeper for that. So, and Rama just said in the chat, predicting future inflation is impossible. And here's the other reason to that is like we can look back and I can say, hey, statistically, the average rate of inflation since 1971 is about when we went off the gold standard is about 4% or so, give or take. I can't remember the exact number, but it's just over 4%. And so like that's a statistic, but even that is like not accurate, right? Because if you look at when inflation hit the all-time high at 13.5% in 1979, when Paul Volcker raised the federal funds rate from 6% to 19% virtually overnight in December, I think it was like December 11th or something like that, 1979. When he did that, everything changed, right? Like, so that controlled inflation and then inflation went down. But inflation as it's calculated today, right now,
That's right.
in 2023, February, is not the same way they calculated inflation back in 1979. And so the thing is like, and I don't want to go all conspiracy theorists because that's not how I roll or whatever. But at the end of the day, the facts are the facts, and they've changed the way that they calculate inflation. They've added things to the inflation calculation, like hedonics.
No, you gotta tell us. You can't just you can't use that word and not tell us what it is.
So hedonics is the idea saying, all right, Jake, if the cost of your iPhone went up 5%, but it improved your quality of life by 5%, then there's no real inflation. It's jacked.
But it is though. If it costs me more money,
I know it's messed up.
If it costs me more money financially, like it does, inflation does increase, bro.
It does increase, yeah, and that's the thing. And so that's the point. Like the inflation number today is manipulated. Like right now, what is inflation today? I don't know. It's like what?
It's like 8% now.
8%. Oh yeah, because it went back up. That's the other thing. Everybody, I did a video a couple months ago. It was like 3-4 months ago. I did on where I was doing an inflation report every single month, and in this report, I said like, listen, over the next couple months, we're going to see inflation go down. Why are we going to see it? Because they opened up all the oil reserves, gas prices are going down, energy costs are going down, and inflation is going to follow energy. And what happened? And it dropped. That's right. And now what's happening? Energy is going back up. And what's happening? Inflation's going back up. And everybody's like, what's happening? It's not very complicated, y'all, like what's happening. But here's the deal. With inflation today, we have to realize that inflation today at 8%, let's say, is actually potentially, and a lot of people, Peter Schiff talks about this a lot, is worse than it was when it was 13.5% in 1979. They've just figured out how to manipulate the calculation so it's more acceptable. Because when we talk
Explain that. Nope. Explain that. What do you mean by that?
Well, because inflation is a hidden tax. Like our government worth what, $31 trillion in debt?
Yeah.
Right. We have $170 trillion of unfunded liabilities.
Yep.
And so when we look at it like that and we go, oh man, the government, what's their options? They either got to pay down the debt, which is just not going to happen, or they're going to have to inflate the debt away. With higher inflation, that's a way to make the debt not so painful. That's a way that we can kind of monetize that debt. And in inflation, all inflation is a hidden tax. That's all it is. And it affects everybody. And it affects the middle and lower class segment of the population way worse than it affects the upper class. Because
yes, but Chris, to be fair, I need you to explain why it affects the middle class and lower class.
Yes. Because middle class and lower class, if you're fixed incomes and you're making $30,000 to $50,000 a year, chances are you don't have a buffer of income, right? Like you don't have a lot of extra savings that you're putting away every single year. Your quality of life chances are you're living right up to your threshold, every single month. And so if inflation is targeted at 2%, well, you got cost of living adjustments and all these things that go in, your wage increases every single year should keep up with that. But if inflation hits 8%, well, that hurts you, first of all. And at 50,000, now you need to be making 54,000 just to maintain your standard of living. But chances are there's a lag. And for most people, they don't have free and clear $4,000 extra a year to be able to sustain that. Not to mention all of your other costs of everything, with them going up. It's not equal across the board. They've got it so the weighting of the inflation numbers is in a way that is detrimental. Like, so for instance, just give an example, just to kind of put this to something like hard that you can grab onto.
Okay.
Inflation is 8% right now. But do you know what the inflation rate is of gas over the past year? It's like 24%. So,
Oh, I see what you're saying. So how can you justify 8% when the things that we actually depend on are at a higher interest rate of increase than the things that we don't depend on? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, where you're spending your money, in fact, a lot of those areas, the inflation on those areas is far greater than the actual inflation rate, right?
I see what you're saying. So you're saying, let me just clarify this for the people that's like me. You're stating when you say that back then a 12, 13% interest rate is worse than a 8% is today, because back then it was actually true to rate. Today, they got good at manipulating numbers.
Totally. Yep.
Got it.
And they manipulated the whole calculation. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Healthcare, right? Do you know what healthcare accounts for as far as our total economy?
As far as revenue?
As far as just total money spent in the economy?
Let's call it 30%.
It's about just over 20%. According to the inflation calculation, do you know what rate healthcare counts towards the weighting of the inflation rate calculation?
They probably deflated the calculation to the inflation rate simply because they consider healthcare a necessity. And they be doing that manipulation stuff between 2 to 5%. Am I off?
It's 4%. So you're good, man. You're good. So when we're talking,
hold on, wait. I gotta do my thing. Wait.
So when we're looking at this, right? When we're looking at this, we go, we have a segment of the economy that accounts for 20% of all the expenditures, but they're only giving it a 4% rate of calculation into the overall inflation numbers. And so that's just one area. Energy is a very similar thing. Food is another thing. I don't know about you, but at least in my family, energy, food, those are two of the biggest things. Like our electric bill, our gas bill, our car. I drive a Jeep that gets 10 miles a gallon because I got 36-inch tires on it, and it is what it is. So it gets 10 miles a gallon, and it's I put probably $200 a week into my gas tank.
Okay. Wait. We're not about to act like stop.
I'm just
Let
saying.
me just no. I'm looking at the camera. Camera, cue me. Camera, cue me.
All right, I got you.
We're not about to act like Chris does not run one of the most infiltrating insurance agencies on this planet Earth, aka United States of America. We're also not about to act like Chris could not stunt and go get him a foreign car the same way everybody. And what we're also not going to do, Chris, we're not going to allow you to act as if, I just got a Jeep with 32-inch rims, and I just fill up the car with gas, and we run out of gas, and it does cost a lot for gas, but it's still just a Jeep. Chris, can you tell the people the truth? When you gonna tell the people the truth, Chris?
What's the truth? I don't even know the truth right now, I guess.
The truth is Chris got paper.
Oh, well, listen. But the point is,
we want to change the point, Chris.
But the point is, it impacts everybody, right? Like these are things like, listen, I'm in a Jeep club, right?
It does not impact you, Chris, as much as it does middle class and lower class, Chris.
Yeah,
stop.
No doubt. But my point is, I'm in a group of Jeep guys, right? And we go off-roading once a month. And I know a lot of these guys that are like mechanics and doing things, and they're spending the same money I am, and they can't and I'm hearing from them, maybe I can't come next month. This is getting outside of my realm. I don't have an extra $150 to go on a trip like this, and so it's happening, and people are getting impacted. Inflation is real, and the inflation numbers that the government's telling us is not necessarily the number that's impacting you.
So this goes back to our original point. Yes. Cash flow creation.
Amen.
The only reason why you and I are able to stand the test of time during this high inflationary, falsely documented time is because if the government showed that we're under 40% inflation,
there'd be anarchy in the streets, guys. It's true.
We wouldn't be in a there would not be in America.
They'd be shutting this channel down, that's for sure.
What I will say is this. It goes back to our point about the importance of cash flow creation. Because Chris and I are no different. We started broke. Both of us started through a lawsuit or some form of fashion,
or multiple,
or something. Right?
Yeah.
Whether we won it or lost it, it still costs money to win or lose. And the point that I want to make is this: accumulation alone is not enough.
No,
because think about it. You got $1 million in your bank account. What you gonna do? You gonna go get your house? You gonna pay off your house? Let's say it's $300,000. You pay that off. You pay off both you and your wife's car, $30,000 a piece. That's $60,000. That's $300 and that's $420,000 right there out the $1 million gone. Not including the taxes that you get for whatever distribution that you just received for receiving that $1 million up front. So let's just be modest and say $300,000 was taken away. So let's go to the board. Hey, go to camera 4. Go to the board.
Man,
all right. So
I like that. I like how you just say bang and it's done.
So we're gonna do $1 million. Got $1 million in your reserve, right?
Yep.
So now you say $300,000 for your crib. Now we know that's not true, especially today's times. You can't even get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $300,000 in a good neighborhood. But we're just gonna go with that. Then we're gonna say 2 cars at $30,000 a piece. That's $60,000. So we're gonna say $60,000 for cars.
Yep.
And then y'all gonna give at least $20,000 to family and friends because you want to let them know that you didn't forget about them. We're just gonna deal with this right here. This $380,000. What's 1 million minus 380,000? Let's see.
620 grand.
620 grand. That leaves you with 620 grand. Let's not forget taxes. How much of taxes out the 620 do you think it's gonna be, or out the $1 million?
No, it depends on where it is. Like if you have it as in like a 401k or IRA and it's earned income.
Let's give them the best tax advantage.
Let's just call it let's call it a capital gain and 15%, best case scenario.
So that's 15 out the $1 million, so that's 150,000.
So you got 150 grand, so you're at 470.
So we're gonna take so we're gonna take 150 grand away from taxes.
You're at 470.
$470,000. Not including you're probably going to get another car and upgrade a bigger house because you're not happy with where you are and some other crap. So let's just say you waste 200,000 because most people wait. If you get $1 million up front, you're gonna waste 200,000. You don't know what you wasted it on.
Totally.
So let's say you're left with $270,000.
Yep.
Now, technically, you tax it. You got waste. You got everything that you felt like you was worth. You that you deserve your entire life. So you got waste, taxes, you got family taken care of, you got cars, you got your home. Okay. Not including children, better education, schooling, all of that. You left with $270,000 and you still don't know how to multiply it. This is a danger.
100%.
That's a danger. That is a danger. Versus,
that's the Dave Ramsey plan right there. Get all your stuff paid off, just save up, and you're good. Why do you really need more money in retirement?
Yeah, so the Dave Ramsey plan, y'all switch to one. The Dave Ramsey plan works only for those who are getting ready for our plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's great.
So if you were to use Dave Ramsey would be great with coupling with our plan, because if you have no debt and you came to us, good riddance to poverty. However, most of you don't come to us after Dave, so that means that we have to show you what's most important in paying down your debt. I'm going to say this for me. I'm not in representation of Life 180 or Chris. I'm going to tell you what I teach my clients. Paying down debt is the last thing I'm worried about.
Okay.
The reason being is because once you pay down all of your debt, you save up all your money, use all your surplus cash to pay down all your debt. Guess what? You have no extra money. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to get back in debt to stop the mistakes of you living this life that got you in debt.
Yeah.
So in my perspective, Chris, you can tell me how you feel, but from my perspective, focusing on developing a new cash flow is much more important than paying off debt, because every month, if that new cash flow seeps in every month, no matter your mistakes, you can pay your debt off. You can go to Timbuktu, waste all the money on whatever your desires are. You can waste all your money that entire month and know that next month you can start over and do right. But you cannot do that with an accumulated account. Chris, how do you feel about that?
That is true. Listen, people's greatest need is absolutely more cash flow, period. And so that's why, I mean, it sounds cliche, but I always kind of tell people the greatest investment you're ever going to make is in yourself. You know, like I can tell you, I've put multiple 6 figures into masterminds and events and personal coaching and these sorts of things. And a lot of people would look at that and be like, well, I was already in debt for some of it. I used debt for some of it when I didn't have the money. But why did I do that? Because I was trying to build an asset, and the greatest asset is me, because there's nothing else in my life that's going to be able to create more cash flow in my life than me and my abilities and my skills, my networks, my relationships, all these different things. Right. And so, it's everything, you know? And so, debt, I have a love-hate relationship with it, right? Like I would say there's 2 types of debt. There's the toxic kind of like.
Don't say it, Chris.
There's consumer
debt.
Don't
say good debt, bad debt, bro.
There's consumer debt, which is bad. And then there's investment debt, which, you know, if you can validate saying, I'm going to take on debt, but I can look at that as an investment. Like I would go pay, and people go, what's good debt versus what's bad debt? Right. Like you look at you, like you're looking at me, but I could say, what is good debt versus bad debt? And the answer is, it's not about the percentage that you're paying in interest. It's about what are you using that debt for, and
Chris,
more with it.
Chris, am I your brother?
You are my brother. What are you going to hit me with now?
Can I give you some pushback?
Hit me, baby. Let's go.
Is there a such thing as a good gun and a bad gun?
Well,
Don't you do it. You better not try to do it. Is there a such thing as a good gun and a bad gun?
I mean, I'm kind of a snob when it comes to my guns, so I mean, yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, man.
Is there a such thing as a good gun and a bad gun?
No, Jake.
They're all good. A gun is a gun, and a gun is created for one reason. And what is that reason, Chris?
To shoot a target.
Destruction. To lay someone down.
Exactly.
Now,
I like Alonzo's answer.
There are times when if you killed someone that the government and the police will say, hey, it was self-defense. And there are other times when somebody kills the same person and they say that you're a lunatic. The only difference is the intention. Chris, I am tired of everyone using Robert Kiyosaki's good debt, bad debt analogy.
Okay.
All debt is debt. It is debt.
Yeah, but
and if you do not have a legitimate plan for it, where you can protect you and your family, meaning that you have a practice exit with a clear-cut ending, everyone gonna die by the debt.
Sure.
Just like the gun.
All right. Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. Like Alonzo said it. There's no good guns or bad guns. There's only good and bad people with guns, right? And so it's all about who are you? What are your skills? What are your abilities, right? Like debt is not equal in everybody's hands, right? Like how you utilize debt. And to that point, like I'm not a big fan of debt for consumption, but debt for production, I'm in love with it. Like I got a love relation. Like it's
you
like,
in love with it, Chris? Are you serious?
Why not?
Bro, Chris, all right, Chris, let me ask you a question.
Okay, ask away, baby. Let's go.
You said you're in love with it, which means if you're in love with something, that means it'll be your first choice, right? Don't you do it.
Yes, okay. You know why? Listen, and here's why. What's the number one thing I value in my money?
The number one thing you arbitrage, positive arbitrage.
I look for number one attribute I look for in anything I'm doing with my money.
Positive arbitrage.
Control.
Okay.
Control. Okay. When I use my money, what am I doing with that money?
You have control.
I'm giving up control of it. I have control when it's in my hands. If I use somebody else's money, but I still have my money sitting there, and I know I can use that somebody else's money, OPM, for an investment, and I can earn more than I'm paying, and I'm still keeping control of my money. That way, if any time things get hard, the difference between debt that people look at is they go, when you're in debt, if I have $1 million in debt that I use because Jake gave me a loan at 5%, and I have $1 million of his money, and I know I could take that 5% and I could take it and earn 10%, building a business, but I still got $1 million over my side account that I control. Am I really taking on any risk? Here we go. You don't like this. You don't agree with me. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Did you freeze or you just stuck? I don't know what's happening right now.
Chris!
What?
What is going on?
Tell me I'm wrong. Here's the deal.
You are not wrong, but you're not right.
This is what I will tell you. This is what I will say. This is what I'll say, and you'll probably, I'll re-earn your love right now, okay?
I want to go golfing now. Chris, I want to go golfing now. I'm stressed out.
So here's the deal, though. Most people are not who they need to be and are not capable of managing all that. Right?
Okay. Look, hey, did y'all see what Chris just did? He just laid me down softly like a little feather girl.
I mean, that's the reality of it, right? Like, and it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Math and money are different. The math of debt always works out against you. The money of debt and the control and the attributes, and you can leverage it. If you've built the skills in yourself, if you become who you needed to be to get there, and leverage it properly, it can be awesome. The problem is most people just skip the growth process and go right to the debt, and they end up in a world of pain. Talk to me now.
Okay, Chris. You're right. Most people are not who they need to be before they deal with the risk of debt.
Yep.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I have no pushback.
Okay.
But it did not make me feel good for you to go down. You literally said good debt, bad debt, bro.
Yeah.
Literally. You believe in that crap?
I believe in leverage as long as you're not over leveraged. But I believe in that. I believe there's a line there, right? And that line is different for everybody. And the part that I really, really agree with you with Robert Kiyosaki is that he talks about it as some absolute thing where there's like, hey, everybody should just do it this way and, take on debt to do all these things. And it's like, no, man, that's not the case.
Okay. There goes my brother. Okay. I don't know who you were for like 3 minutes. I couldn't identify if this was Smoke Kings or Fire Kings because I thought you was burning me. Dog. I thought I was getting burned, dog.
No,
listen. Go. As long as we don't deal in the spirit or the world of absolutes, I'm fine.
Amen, bro. Amen. Yeah, there's no absolute thing. There's no situation where like I could look at any kind of debt and be like, everybody should do that, or
okay,
kind of cash deal and say everybody should do it that way. It's the questions, the variables. They're in any deal we get into. I don't care if it's a real estate deal, if it's a business deal, if it's an investment deal in any capacity. The biggest thing I can say is the only variable that's always going to be consistent is you and your abilities and your understanding and your knowledge and all these things. And so it's really on you, like to understand what's right in that situation for you. And so somebody asked, how do you draw the leverage line? I would say always stand on the side of caution when it comes to leverage. Always, I'm a big believer, under promise, over deliver, right? Like I'm always willing to go slow and go slower than the people around me and not succumb to the FOMO elements of the fear of missing out of any deal, of any situation, of any business, of any investment opportunity. I'd rather go slowly and get a more predictable result and move and move to a place where I'm in control of the results. I'm a control freak. Ask my wife. I'm a control freak.
I don't know, Chris, because you was giving me, but I don't know. You was giving me not my brother vibes. I don't know what was going on.
I get it, but Jake, here's what I need you to hear me. Here's what I need you to hear me. Here's what I need you to hear me. If I take $1 million loan from you, and I've got $1 million on the sidelines that I know is guaranteeing that loan.
Okay.
And I'm still in control. What's the difference? Like, that's not bad. The problem is
no, I'm okay. But to me, to be fair, to me, that's not debt though.
Yeah, but it's leveraging debt. It's leveraging debt. See, this. So now when we talk about this, when somebody goes, where's the line? Don't take on debt you can't back up.
Okay. Chris, what'd you practice to debate me? Because you're winning right now. You're winning.
Apparently, this is where we're going today, brother.
Hey, listen, here's the deal. You're right. All right, so look. So here's the deal. You ready?
Yeah, let's go. Hit me.
If you have capital or an asset that can liquidate to pay the debt, to me, that's not debt. That's just leverage.
It's not debt on a balance sheet, but you're leveraging debt to accomplish something, because otherwise,
I agree. I just want you to specify though. You know what I mean? Like, people are not specifying. So when they be like, wealthy people, they borrow money from the bank to live this life. Well, that's true, but it's not true.
But your
because if shit hit the fan, the bank could go get.
I get it. Your risk associated with that debt is negated because of the fact that you have the asset to back it up.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you're still leveraging debt, bro. So to say that you don't like debt in any way, you're leveraging a financial tool, a financial vehicle. A loan is no different than a whole life policy.
Bro, Chris, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Let me get close. Listen, do you hate me?
No, I love you, bro. You're awesome.
I can't tell the love. The love sounds more like my iron in thy rod, it comforts me. This is sounding real scriptural right now. And it sounds like you want to give me an ass whooping, okay? Because
man. I love this debate. Like, I think this is awesome for people to hear.
Listen.
Because you and I are both on the same page. Like, at the end of the day, like,
all right, so look.
Different way of communicating.
Hey, you know what I had to wake up to, bro? I'm gonna keep it $150 thou wow with you. Okay. And 50 thou wow for your community just mean real. Okay, 50 thou wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's the deal. I had to come to grips that when we borrow money against the insurance policy, that is absolutely leveraging.
So I didn't even go there, man. Like, what do you like? So if you agree with what I'm saying, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you would be saying like you don't agree with policy loans. Like, that's ultimately what we're saying.
Listen, the only reason I love being able to borrow against a policy, Chris, is that you cannot borrow against your capacity to pay back.
Sure.
So it's like the perfect way to protect people from themselves.
Does
that make sense?
A set of principles and rules that you cannot trick and you can't sabotage yourself. And that is the power for it. But
I knew but was coming. What's the but, Chris?
Here's the deal. You don't need to utilize a whole life policy. You can do this in outside assets. You can do it. The concept is absolute. And listen, you and I are on the same page. Like, there's a reason I love whole life insurance. There's a reason I love doing this and setting people up with these plans, because most people, when they get started in this, don't have the discipline, don't have the knowledge, don't have the understanding, don't have the know-how and the skills and all these things yet.
Correct.
So you put this stuff in place to build the habits, to build the knowledge, to build the skills, to set in, like, you know, a set of bumpers on the bowling alley so you can't throw some gutter balls and throw a zero. Right? That's why we do it this way. Once you hit a certain level and you've run a couple dozen deals and you've made a lot of money and whatever, you're going to start noticing other opportunities. You're going to start having other assets that you can leverage in a very similar way, but you don't start there.
Okay. Hey, listen, Chris.
I'm glad we finally are like brothers again here.
We're brothers again, Chris. Because for 1 second, I thought we was ebony and ivory. We was just gonna fight. I didn't know what was going on right there. Listen, here's the deal. Yeah. I agree in my belief that if people were to go in, start to adapt to different financial constructs, right? That what we teach should be first base, where it's like, hey, you make the money, you put the money in a reserve, you borrow against it. You cannot expose more than you're capable of being able to pay back. Once you understand that process, then go to the next game. Because, you know, Chris, I'm in the acquisitions game. And so the game that I'm in now, I do got to have different conversations with the bank that I probably would have wanted to have before.
Yep.
The difference is, don't you start smiling, Chris. Don't you, that freaking smirk on your freaking face, dude. It's giving me the itchies, dog. Come on, man. So the conversations that I have to have now with the banks are different than before. I could produce our business. We've done, a lot. We've done a lot. But now when I'm acquiring companies and I don't want to take the risk, but I also don't want a gang of investors to be asking me 24/7 what the heck is going on, a banker would be a much more probable business partner. However, the difference in my position than my position prior to was now I can negotiate with a bank and get something closer to bank rate versus vice versa, trying to acquire a company and they stinging me on the head from some ridiculous interest rate. So I'm agreeing with you with a little bit of a
But here's the deal. You're playing at a different level now, right? Like you are not who you were 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
That's true.
Ago, right? And you had to start somewhere, and you probably started with your private banking policy, and you probably started up. You probably took a loan against yourself to invest.
No. Full transparency, CK. Full transparency, bro. Full transparency. I couldn't bring myself to sell a private banking policy if I was broke. So all I sold was final expense and mortgage protection.
Oh,
so I just want to make that clear for all the people selling private banking policies that ain't got no money.
That's
I just want to say that.
So, at the end of the day, though, like you're playing at a level right now that's beyond where you were even a couple of years ago. And that all comes down to the only difference is you and your skills and your ability and the people you've associated with and how you've grown. And because the money has followed that and you have your own policies and you've outgrown that and you've built other assets, businesses, real estate, whatever that you have that you can now leverage to guarantee and liquidate if necessary. You got it all. Like, so now you're playing at a different level. Most people are not there yet. And you will, if everybody just follows the plan, you'll get
that's
there.
What I'm saying.
The same thing.
Don't act like they can't follow the plan. Chris, exactly. I grew up broke too.
Yeah. Bro, I remember, I'm not going to get into horror stories, but man, like people look at me in my life and like whatever, and they don't know the stories of like.
Okay, so
I'm not talking.
So no. You're not finna get out of this, Chris. No, listen. So just like you told me last show, that I have to freaking we gotta pick up from the cash flow.
Yep.
Next time we gotta pick up from your history, your story.
Okay.
Because from where I'm standing, you look like a rich white boy. That's what you look like. You like a rich white boy that's been rich all your life.
Bro,
and look, you even got a glow. You see this glow on your forehead right here? That glow look like
amazing.
That glow look like paper. Paypa. Paper.
And Wealth and Wisdom said most people never get there. They self-sabotage. And that is true. And I would argue they never get there. They self-sabotage because they don't know what to focus on. They don't have a coach. They don't have a plan. And that's unfortunate. There was one comment before we go down anything else. Rama said this, and you were talking about policy loans at the time, and we kind of skated past it. And I wanted to make a note here because he said only in emergency, like medical policies, or like medical is a policy loan, all right? And the answer is no. I would say though, I would say no. You want to utilize policy loans for cash flow investing. You want to utilize
that's right
to buy assets that are going to improve your life. I would say here's the all right. So before we go, because I know we're running up on time, but before we go, here's the one thing, and I'm probably gonna like pull the pin in the grenade, throw it in the room, and then we'll have to come back. But the number one thing that's bugging the hell out of me right now on social media.
Oh, y'all got Chris cursing. Y'all got him cursing.
On TikTok, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Are people telling you that you should get your money, put it in a policy, and then use policy loans to buy depreciating assets? And that's a way to get money.
No, we gotta cut the show.
Off, man.
You can't do this, dog. You can't do this, Chris. Dog, you cannot. This is a whole show conversation, bro. Listen, hey, Smoke Kings is over. Me and Chris is gonna come back to you next week. We're gonna be. I can't believe he freaking did that crap. We're gonna be talking about how everyone online is talking about how to use the private banking policy to pay for depreciating assets, such as expensive cars in personal houses and crap. We're gonna talk about that because Chris clearly doesn't love y'all. I love you enough to cut the show to tell you that we'll talk to you at another time, because he literally set the tone by saying he's finna throw a smoke grenade because he knew he couldn't finish it by the end of the show. So listen, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't know if Chris loves you, but this is Smoke Kings, and we'll see you next week because he tripping. Peace.
All right. See you guys.